Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about PlayStation 3 emulation on Android with RPCS3 Android. Now, in yesterday's video, I talked about how big changes were on the way, and it turns out the big changes are here. RPCS3 Android just got a brand new update. So in yesterday's video, Alpha 4 was the latest update, and now we've got Alpha 5 and Alpha 5.1. So with this brand new update, there's a whole bunch of fixes, performance improvements, optimizations, and brand new features. This one is a pretty big update. It now supports custom drivers. And they've also taken the guardrails off things by this commit right here. Remove ARM 8.1-A requirement. So RPCS3 Android should be able to be installed on more phones, although those additional phones may not necessarily be able to run this very well. So although RPCS3 Android is still fairly new, it seems to be coming along very well. Someone here is claiming they've got Blades of Time up and running at full speed and playable on a Poco F5. You can see there are some graphical issues, but at the same time here, I would say this is really impressive. On top of that, the same person here has Shadow of Mordor Legion Edition up and running, and they're calling it playable. And someone else here has the latest version of RPCS3 Android running on an Odin 2. I don't know about you, but what might have started out as just a fun project has turned out to be something absolutely amazing. I'm a huge fan of RPCS3 Android. I really like what I'm seeing here, and let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. Next up here, if you've got a Playdate handheld, you might be excited to know about PlayGB, or maybe you already know about it. PlayGB is a Game Boy emulator for the Playdate handheld. This is more of just a friendly heads up, but PlayGB was released back in 2022 and is still in active development. The latest update here is just from 2 days ago and got some minor fixes. And I think it's worthwhile to pay attention to these updates because the previous one resulted in a 17% performance improvement. And that is pretty awesome. Next up here, we're talking about an interesting project on GitHub that was recently shown to me. It's called Sonic 2020. And it says Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020 HTML5 demo minigame is alive again. Yay. They say here that this is the official 3D HTML5 demo minigame of Sonic at the Olympic Games 2020. And it looks like it can be played in the browser. They say it used to be on crazygames.com. If you are curious and wanted to learn more about anything we're talking about in this video, like everything I talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Anyways, here next up we're talking about Half-Life 2 RTX. And the Half-Life 2 RTX demo is now available on Steam, and it's 100% free. It is just a demo though. Now we've known about this one for a while, and it's finally released here, and it seems to be very popular. It's got a lot of reviews, and I'm very surprised to see that it's got a mixed overall review score. Now taking a look at some of the reviews, and it seems the mixed overall review score is because of performance. And some people are also upvoting it even though there are some performance problems. For example, this person says, definitely not the best experience due to performance, but what a beautiful looking game and assets. This person here took the opposite approach. Instead of upvoting it because it's beautiful but doesn't perform well, they downvoted it, and I can get behind that. They say this game is very beautiful and all, but it's far from playable. There are several flaws that plague this game, such as unstable performance, blurry visuals, VRAM bleeding, leaking, and the fact that certain details become invisible even at close distances. They continue to say, I really hope that this project will receive further optimization and become less reliant on NVIDIA's AI features to run properly. This has great potential to become a masterpiece, but has many flaws that need to be fixed. Now, some people may see a negative comment and think, you know what, the person doesn't have a good GPU, and that's the reason why they're not having a good experience. Well, that might not necessarily be the case because this person here has a 4070 Ti and is still having issues. They say on a 4070 Ti it won't work at all. The demo spills VRAM like a monster. Not even one frame gen will make it playable. This is definitely meant to be played on an RTX 50 series by enabling multi-frame gen, which it probably won't be as good as it should since the base frame rate isn't that good in the first place. Now, I don't know about you, but I would say a 4070 Ti is a pretty good GPU. Maybe I'm wrong about that one. Anyways, here they say definitely more like a tech demo for high-end RTX 50 series and maybe 4090 users. represented by less than 5% of current Steam users. And they say that's probably a generous number, and I would also agree with that. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Let me know if you've tried this and your experiences with it in the comments below. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I'm a little bit disappointed about this entire project. Yes, it's just a free tech demo, but at the same time, they list an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 Ti as required. And someone with a 4070 Ti is struggling. And that to me is, well, it's a little bit disappointing. Maybe this required a bit more polish before it was pushed out, although it is just a tech demo. Next up here, we're talking about a fighting game called Pocket Bravery. And if you're not familiar with this game, it is currently out on Steam. It's got a very positive review score. And it will be hitting consoles, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch in April. So April 10th is the release date for this one on consoles, and it is something to keep your eye on. Now, if you don't want it for console, but maybe you wanted it for an older console, you might also be excited. It's been announced that this game is being made for the Genesis as well. Yes, the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a release date for the Genesis version, but I mean, at the same time, that's pretty neat. It's in development, and I'm very curious to see how it turns out. And speaking about curious about how stuff turns out, next up here, we're talking about a fan-made Breaking Bad RPG for the Game Boy. I have not tried this one out yet, but I'm very curious about it. The developer says, I created a short RPG that revolves around the Breaking Bad story. I'm a new developer and still working on getting my projects out there, so feel free to share. And, well, I might be testing this one out. If you've tested this one out, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. But a Breaking Bad RPG on the Game Boy, well, that sounds interesting. Now, you probably already know this, but I'm not a big fan of downloading random stuff from random Google Drives. And fortunately, the project is up on itch.io, and like everything we talk about, link is in the description below at the bottom if you wanted to learn more. And it seems you can also play this right in your browser. So they say explore the Breaking Bad universe in a brand new way. Taking place during the events of Season 4, the story picks up as Walt is called into the lab and told that some of the product in Jesse's care has been stolen. Help residents around town with their requests, and with Mike's help, discover the location of the stolen products. Next up, we're quickly talking about Microsoft, and this was announced last year and now has been released. It's the Xbox Adaptive Joystick. It does work with PC. It does look like a much more ergonomic Joy-Con, and it is meant for accessibility. It's only priced at about $30. Now, if I'm not mistaken, these are exclusively available on Microsoft Store, so if you wanted one, you'll have to hunt it down here. And I'm curious to see if these can be linked together. That would be a pretty cool PC experience with two of these adaptive joysticks. Overall, for accessibility, I think this is an awesome way forward, and I'm curious to see what people's experiences with them are like. And speaking about experiences, next up, this is more of just a friendly heads up, but if you're looking forward to Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, like I am, this is pretty neat. They've announced a second beta occurring between March 26th to the 31st. And this is for PlayStation, Xbox, and also Steam. No Nintendo Switch. It's not releasing on the Switch. And they say here there's going to be a whole lot available. In my opinion, this is a pretty beefy playtest and one I will be trying to take part of. I mean, it's got online modes, offline modes, 9 different characters, and 4 playable stages. And I think this is going to give a lot of people a really good look at what this game is going to offer on launch. Will it encourage some people to pre-order? Probably. It may drive people away from pre-orders. Now, I don't pre-order anything, but if I'm happy with what I see here during the playtest, I may pick the game up shortly after launch. And speaking about stuff at launch, next up we're talking about a Kickstarter that has not launched yet, but now we're aware of it. And it's for the Retro Fighters Defender Pro controller. They say celebrate our 10th anniversary with the launch of the Defender Pro series on Kickstarter. Compatible with PS1, PS2, PS3, and more. Return to where it all began. Now, since the Kickstarter hasn't launched yet, it seems there will be some early bird deals and all of that stuff. Unfortunately, I don't know what they are, and I can't tell you whether or not I think they're worth it. Anyways, here taking a look at the full features, they say there's going to be wireless and 2.4G wireless and Bluetooth. Pressure-sensitive buttons. They're going to have an enhanced D-pad, so that hopefully the D-pad's pretty good here. Hall effect analog sticks, customizable triggers, improved L2 and R2 sensitivity, and multi-system compatibility. So it's also compatible with the PlayStation Classic and Nintendo Switch and obviously PC. I am curious about this one, but at the same time here, I mean, the form factor, it's just, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to back something like this and get excited about it, but at the same time, if you love that PlayStation form factor, this may be up your alley. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below, and let me know your experiences with Retro Fighters controllers in the comments below. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people who like them. And I say the form factor here might not necessarily be up my alley, as I'm looking right at the 8BitDo Pro 2, which is one of my favorite controllers. I think 8BitDo hit it out of the park with the Pro 2. This might actually be my favorite controller that I've got. I think this one is perfect for almost everything I need. So the form factor on this one, yeah, maybe up my alley. Who knows? And speaking about PlayStation stuff, next up we're talking about Taki Udon's upcoming SuperStation FPGA. And I think the Defender Pro from Retro Fighters will be compatible with this. I could be wrong about that, but I think it might be. Anyways, here Taki Udon has showcased what the UI for this is going to look like. And it looks to me like it's simple, straightforward, and fairly clean. Now, I don't know about you, but I like this clean, minimalistic look to it. I think this is exactly what I'd be going for as well in a system like this. This is simple and straightforward, and yeah, I'm in agreement with it. And speaking about FPGA, next up we're talking about Analoge and their N64 FPGA, the Analoge 3D. Now, if I'm not mistaken, shipping used to be Q1 2025, so that's January, February, March. And it's now been pushed back to July 2025, which is Q3. So that's a pretty big delay, but at the same time here, I think it will ship. I'm not too worried about it. Unfortunately, unless I'm missing something, they didn't give any reason as to the cause of the delay. So we're going to have to wait and see on this one, but they do have a cancellation policy for pre-orders if people get cold feet over it. I personally am not worried, but at the same time here, who knows in today's day and age. Next up here, we're talking about a Kickstarter project called Malasombra, a new action-adventure video game for the NES. And this one has absolutely smashed its goals so far. It's still got 29 days to go. They're only looking for about $10,000, and they've raised over $37,000. And this one isn't too expensive. I think the lowest tier here is $10 for a digital download of the game. And the game itself is for the NES and I think looks really good. I can completely see why it smashed its goal. This one is being developed by 4 MHz, and they seem to have a physical version as well. And honestly, I've got high hopes for this project, and I hope the game shapes up real well, and I hope it ends up on Steam at some point. And speaking about Steam, next up we're talking about Palworld, and Palworld has just received its crossplay update. And this is more of just an FYI. We talked about this one before, and even though Palworld is in the middle of a lawsuit with Nintendo, they keep pushing forward the game and keep introducing new things. And now, yes, crossplay is available. Next up here, we're talking about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it's being reported that Ubisoft has lawyers ready to fight Assassin's Creed Shadows harassment. The publisher is prepared to protect its staff from personal abuse when the game is released. And this to me is a little bit alarming. The full article is over on Video Games Chronicle if you are interested in reading up on it and learning more about the entire situation. I'm curious to know what's going on behind the scenes at Ubisoft here, because DSO Gaming is reporting that Assassin's Creed Shadows suffers from major optimization issues on NVIDIA GPUs. And that is alarming. From my understanding, DSO Gaming tested this with a 5090 Founders Edition, so not necessarily a run-of-the-mill NVIDIA card. And it seems they are very underwhelmed with things. They state that GPU utilization is around 96%, and, well, I am concerned. So hopefully here Ubisoft is releasing a game that is finished and not necessarily a game that probably could have used a few extra months in development to smooth things over. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but reviews coming in are, they're kind of all over the place based on what I've seen. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, this is more of just a heads up, and unfortunately we don't have a lot to go on given the fact that the trailer is just 14 seconds long. But LEGO and Pokemon are teaming up here for some sort of collaboration. That's Pikachu's tail. We're going to have to wait and see on this one, and I'm assuming that details will be let out as time goes on. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of leaks around this one. Either way, here it's set to release at some point in 2026, and there's a lot of time between now and 2026, so I'm assuming over the next few months we'll learn more about it. And speaking about stuff releasing in the future, next up here we're talking about something that, well, just released, and that's Fedora Linux 42 Beta. If you're a fan of Fedora, if you're a fan of Linux, this may be worth checking out. So Fedora Linux 42 has a few big things in it, including a really recent Linux kernel, 6.14. A recent version of GNOME, actually a new version of GNOME. So from my understanding, it will be GNOME 48. And if you're not a fan of GNOME and more of a fan of something like KDE Plasma, I don't blame you there. They're going to have KDE Plasma version 6.3. And if you're wanting to try out something brand new here, they're also going to have a Cosmic flavor, which I think is pretty cool. Cosmic is that desktop environment being developed by System 76 and it's written in Rust. It's still in alpha though, so there may be a lot of issues with Cosmic. And on top of that, I think the final release of this one is going to be in like May or June or something like that. Either way here, I think this is really exciting for Fedora. And last up here, we're talking about Alan Wake Remastered on the PS5. And the reason we're talking about this is because I may have a giveaway key. So one viewer of this channel provided a giveaway key. They are super generous, super awesome. I want to say thank you very much on that one. And to enter is simple and straightforward. Send an email to giveaway@mrsujano.com and let me know your thoughts about the outro theme on this video. That's it. I kind of made that up on the spot, but at the same time here, I guess it kind of works. So send an email to giveaway@mrsujano.com with your thoughts about the outro theme. Now, I think this is restricted. The key is restricted to North America. So if you're outside of North America, you won't be eligible. You will need I think even just a USA account or a Canadian account in order to receive this key. And that's really about it. So I want to say thank you to the person who provided this, and whoever is entering, good luck. I'll choose one person at complete random in a couple of weeks. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. And thoughts on that giveaway as well. If you don't like the outro theme, that's absolutely fine. You can say that in the email. It doesn't disqualify you from winning. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state. And I'll see you tomorrow.